Hello, I am Bader Alabdullah, a student in the Department of English Language and Literature at the University of Bahrain. Welcome to our advanced grammar series. Today I'll be talking about the past tense and the past perfect. To start with forming the past simple, in terms of the affirmative form, we use subject plus verb plus ed, and we say, I played. And in terms of the negative, we use subject plus did not plus infinitive without to. So, for example, we say, they didn't go. And in terms of the interrogative form, we use did plus subject plus infinitive without to, and we say, did she arrive? And in terms of the interrogative negative, we use did not plus subject plus infinitive without to say, didn't you play? Now let's take a look on how and when can we use the past simple. We use the past simple when the action is completed in the past. So we say they lived in Bahrain for 3 years. Another example, it rained yesterday. We also use the past simple for past status. For example, when my brother was young, he liked spinach. Another example would be, we arrived home late at night. We can also use the past simple when two or more past actions in sequence. For example, I arrived and interrupted him in his work. Another example would be, he jumped and fell on the ground. We can also use the past simple to talk about typical actions or activities during a period in the past, and we use would. For example, every day I would go on a bike ride. Another example, my mom would always say, sit down. We can also use the past simple when we talk about habits in the past, or to make a stronger contrast with the present, so we use used to. For example, we used to live in New York. Another example, he used to smoke every day. And the negative form is didn't use to, or more formally, used not to. So we say, for example, we didn't used to play together a lot. Another example would be, they used not to know the rules. Now moving on to past continuous. We use past continuous to describe actions in progress at a specific time in the past. For example, at 9 o'clock, I was sitting on the train. Another example, a few minutes ago, they were still dancing. We can also use the past continuous with some verbs like wonder and hope to make a request more polite. For example, I was wondering if you could babysit for me tonight. Another example would be, I was hoping you had it with you. We use the past simple to describe a past activity as a series of separate actions. For example, we say, usually I played football on weekends and only watched TV occasionally. And in terms of the past continuous, we use it to describe the past activity as if it was a continuous action. For example, I was playing football and watching movies every weekend. Another use for the past continuous is to describe an activity in one clause that starts before an action in another clause, in sentences with when and while clauses. For example, we say, while I was studying, she called. We can also use the past continuous for the activity that starts later may interrupt the first activity. For example, I was studying when she called. And now we move to the other section of today's lesson, which is the past perfect. How do we form the past perfect? by using subject plus had plus past participle. In affirmative form, we say she had given. And in terms of the negative form, we say she hadn't asked. And in terms of the interrogative form, we say had they arrived. And in terms of the interrogative negative, we say hadn't you finished? And now we can see how and when can we use the past perfect. We can use the past perfect when we are describing an action with the past simple and we want to refer to an action further in the past. For example, we went to the garden, but they had closed already. Another example, I didn't have any money because I had lost my wallet. We can also use the past perfect for earlier events after clauses with reporting or thinking verbs in the past. For example, he told us that the train had left. Another example would be, I thought I had met her before, but I was wrong. Moving to the past perfect continuous, we use the past perfect continuous for events in progress before another event in the past. For example, he had been drinking milk out of the bottle when Mom walked into the kitchen. Note that state verbs are not used in this way. We cannot say, I had been knowing about that before you mentioned it. We also use the past perfect continuous when we describe an action as a process going on before a past event, which is the past perfect continuous. For example, it had been raining hard for several hours when the accident happened. We can also describe the past perfect continuous as the result of an action before a past event, which is the past perfect. So we say, we had reached their house after the dinner was over. That's it for today's lesson. Thank you for your time and I hope you enjoyed it and learned something out of it.